Hello, my friends. Welcome to the ThePCelitist, a channel dedicated to video game commentary and discussion, always from the PC perspective. And it is the greatest platform for gaming. My name is Woodsie.
My name is Shepherd. And, before we begin, big news. Someone stole Modern Warfare 3 from a warehouse. It's out there right now being played, and I can guarantee you the thief is disappointed.
There are thousands of people right now being disappointed.
Yeah. The most anticipated game in history. Insider knowledge, girlfriends in advertising, she said that type of claim, they don't have to substantiate.
Oh, really?
Because there's no real way to prove it.
That's great.
Anywho,
Everyone knows that the most
anticipated game in
history is Paint Brawl 2.
If they remake Paperboy, that's the most anticipated. Today, stop it.
Okay.
Shut up.
Paint Brawl. I love anyone who remembers that to post.
Stop it. Well, you mentioned Indigo Prophecies in a previous discussion.
That's true.
Old man. We have a question today, which we're really hoping for a lot of feedback from our international subscribers. American and Canadian, feel free. Canadian, you're not international to us. You're our brothers who live in the loft upstairs above the really great party. To borrow a line from Robin Williams. Love you guys. Woodsie had a great notion. He texted me the other day. And we have subs in like 32 countries now, something like that, even if it's one or two per country.
The whole country.
The whole country subscribes. We got Saudi Arabia, by the way.
We did?
Yes.
Awesome.
Anywho,
Or it's a guy that just marks Saudi Arabia.
Shut up. Yes, we want everyone's opinion, but particularly our subscribers who are outside the United States.
Right. It was a subject that just came to mind because I felt, this is how I presented it to you, even though it goes many other places, that aren't we so lucky
Who's
that we as Americans, aren't we so lucky that when a game like Battlefield comes out, that we get to play our armaments and our technology and our troops and we get to play as U.S. soldiers. And I find it interesting that even games that aren't produced here, how often the protagonist is a U.S. CIA guy, or a lot of the
U.S. operative in some capacity.
of some kind. Even like the Resident Evil series. I know they're part of STARS, which is this made up like law enforcement thing, but also like some of the characters in there, I can't remember their names, are part of like U.S. agencies.
Not Sheva though.
Not Sheva.
God bless her. We don't know where she's from.
No, she's kind of British.
Kind of like the girl from the first Left 4 Dead. What was her name? It's the girl who you can't tell what race she is.
Right.
Anyway, yes.
But we get that. We
America
get that,
in every game.
that privilege
somehow.
all the time to play. And I'm kind of curious if, like, people, in the United Kingdom, like, I would want our armaments, our rankings, our that kind of stuff.
British military. Kind of like how in Counter-Strike you could play as the French GIGN, German.
Right.
You could play
just as skins though.
Yeah, I know as skins, but at least you had something. Like
Right.
I imagine that there were German people who always picked that skin because that's the German skin, and I understand that.
Right.
Because,
by the way, the Russian assault in Battlefield 3 is like one of the coolest game models.
Yeah, that's true.
I love it. You just see his nose.
Which is interesting because the nose would always freeze off in Russia. Frostbite nose.
Right.
So how do you all feel? Those of you who are not Americans or from America, do you wish that these big blockbuster games... I mean, this is a multi-question discussion, so we're going to have a bunch, and feel free to answer any and all questions. Do you kind of long for a British military component of a video game, or a French military, or a German, where you get to use your technology, your weapons, where it's identifiable as yours, where you get to feel, and whether or not you feel a sense of pride in playing that on that side, I don't know. But the example I'll give, I mentioned this to you a few years ago, Counter-Strike. It doesn't really matter to me in the big picture what I play, but if you start a server and it's open, I will always choose Counter-Terrorist. Not because I like the guns better, even though I love the assault rifles for the CT, But it's just because I don't want to play on the terrorist team. It's not.
Right.
It's not that you're a bad person. It's not that it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
But for some reason, I would never choose to be on the terrorist team. You could give that team the weapons I would want to use, my favorite guns in the world. I'd still always want to play CT. You give me a choice in a game like Battlefield 3, I'll always want to play as the U.S. team. The victory feels a little bit sweeter when it's as the U.S. team, but it doesn't mean anything in the game. So I'm not trying to say that the U.S. team is I'm not trying to be a stereotypical American of we are superior and that's just the way it is. That's not what I'm trying to say. It's just for some reason, and I'm sure if I was born and raised in Germany or born and raised in Sweden, and I had the chance of playing of the Swedish military, I'd want to play that, and I'd think this is the best side to play.
Yeah, I mean, well, your national tastes just permeate you a little bit more to where I would prefer this. But in the end, to me, I like Counter-Strike, use that as an example. I think CTs were always 2 in the quick key. Like, I always remember just pressing 2 immediately to see if I could get on that team. And I didn't go any further than that. 2, no, 1. Like, I didn't think about it deeply, but I would prefer to be on a counter-terrorist.
Yeah. Kind of like in TF2, I'd always want to be blue team. And that's not a shot at communism or China. But...
You like the color blue?
Yes, and if you're red, you suck. So that's one question: is do you wish that games had more international flavor, and not just Americans versus Russians versus Middle Eastern coalition,
right?
Or pick your favorite Middle Eastern country, pick your favorite Slavic country, the Eastern Bloc country, or China. Like Battlefield 2, you could fight the Middle East of Chinese or the Americans. Why is it that certain countries are chosen as the enemy? Why is it more recently Russia has been an enemy, and for a lot of games, some Middle Eastern country, they never pick one. It's never Iran. It's never Syria or Jordan or something.
Right.
And they're certainly not going to make Israel or Palestine.
I heard the argument that Russia was chosen because it made the most sense technology-wise. That
it's been 21 years since we kicked their ass. Do we need to rub it in?
Well,
like in Modern Warfare 2,
what kind of Air Force?
When they invade, no one's putting a boot on this soil. Just saying.
It's like, what kind of Air Force will the Middle Eastern coalition have?
Yeah, that's true. Probably the planes that we sold both sides when Iran and Iraq were fighting. No?
Maybe.
Decommissioned F-14.
Well, see, we put little microchips on all those, and we can blow up any moment we want to.
That's true. We use proximity mines like in GoldenEye. If they fly within 1,000 miles of the U.S. coast, they just blow up.
Right.
The other question I have, and I don't want to pack too much in here, the evolution of enemies in war games. For a while, it was always... Like, World War II games obviously were against the Germans, but why did World War II games keep getting made? Why did it take so long for a modern combat game to get made? I know it never gets old killing Nazis. Never.
It's like zombies.
Yeah, from
zombies,
Wolfenstein
Nazis.
on, and Nazi zombies.
Right.
The best enemy ever. But why is it? And I know the answer, the quick answer is... You got an
astronaut into that equation?
I know the shorter answer is it's topical.
Right.
And it's appropriate, and not appropriate in the sense that it's PC. See what I did there?
Yeah, I did.
But it's topically appropriate in that if we're fighting wars in the Middle East, if we are over there, however you feel about it, it's topical that you fight some Middle Eastern country or some warlord or dictator. But I'm just wondering where the shift happened. I'm wondering in the future, Crisis, you were fighting North Korea, not a Asian country, North Korea.
Right.
Who's going to be the first game maker to say we're going to Iran? If they want to go that way.
For some reason, I mean, it seems like Intel. I always thought that there was kind of this unwritten rule that you could put whatever country against whatever country, which it just so happens it's always U.S. versus somebody. Which that's kind of the theme of this episode. Is that we're always why not Battlefield 4. RU and China.
Yeah.
Why...
Bring back the Sino Wars.
But it always seems, where U.S. is involved in everyone.
And is that a reflection on the developers, be they American or outside? Is it Are we overthinking it? Is it just, well, you put America in because you want the game to sell? Or is it,
true.
well, the Americans can't seem to keep their hands out of every conflict around the world, so our way of kind of, displaying that, manifesting that, is to put them in all these games as the protagonist, even though some other people across the world may say, here's another game where America is the antagonist, the big, mean brother who just comes in and crashes the party. I mean, I want to know if people are thinking about this, and if this video is the first time you're thinking about it, how do you feel about it? Do you like that it's always America versus someone else?
Well, I think Battlefield has always been very neutral. Like, it kind of just explains it just has a war.
Yeah.
They don't really... It's like in 2142.
Yeah.
They just kind of made these scenarios.
Yeah,
but there was no antagonist, protagonist.
Yeah.
It was just kind of... There's a war happening.
Yeah, at least 2142 was European Union versus Russian, correct?
I believe so.
It was a kind of an
How do the
EU.
Russians feel about that?
I don't know.
They've been hit twice now.
But that's what I'm wondering. I mean, that game didn't have Americans in it, but people here... I mean, I don't know how that game sold, but there were a lot of people playing it. Did it matter to people that America wasn't featured in that game? And if people didn't notice, is this entire discussion kind of a moot point? I mean, but I when you texted it to me, I really loved just the way you're thinking about gaming, because this is about gaming, but I think it's not. It's much more macro and much more of an industry thing,
Right.
and why certain decisions are made. It's not. I mean, we've made a video about MBAs are making games and they know this is what sells, but that's in terms of like formulaic gameplay. But in terms of these elements, we've seen games that don't have America in it, or Stalker, for example.
Well, it's in Chernobyl, so it's topical to be Russian.
Exactly, but if you made a game like that, it wouldn't really change the game if it was an American. So does the nationality not really matter unless it's a war game?
Well, see, I thought that in war games, there was kind of just an unwritten rule that, hey, whatever two countries you want thrown in the mix, and it's not outside the realm of possibility that the United States is going to be involved.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? But when Medal of Honor came out, and it was the Taliban versus, and everyone went crazy?
People here, I don't know how it was received internationally, people here flipped the fuck out.
Yes. So there's obviously some line.
And not in a yeah way, in a how dare you way.
It was because the logic was that, what I heard was that they don't like it because this is an active war where our boys are actually getting killed by these guys.
Yeah, and you're reducing it to a video game.
Right.
I completely understand and to a large extent agree with that.
Right.
Because you'll find no greater supporters of men and women in military, be it whatever country other than the Taliban, than Woodsie and Shepherd.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that game, there was a lot of heat about that game.
Yeah.
But you and I, when we first heard it, I think you and I looked at each other and said, huh, ballsy.
Yeah, Taliban.
Yeah, Taliban.
U.S. versus Moon Men.
Attack of the deranged mutant killer monster snow goons. For you Calvin and Hobbes fans out there.
So those are our many questions.
Yes, and really any thoughts you have just on the general topic.
Right.
I mean, because we had like 6 or 7 questions we wanted to ask, but we thought we'd just put it out there and explain it as best we could, how we felt about it. But yeah, I mean, anyone, obviously feel free to comment, but internationally, we'd love to get your input. And another question, are there games that are made in your region, your country, your hemisphere, that are like what we're talking about, where they make a game that is a game for nationalism, really, a game where you can feel pride in where you're from, and does it just not reach America?
Right.
Or does it reach America but in limited release? Have we just never heard about it?
Like a game where you're gaining the ranks through...
Yeah, are you rising through the ranks of the KGB?
Right.
And was it a well done game, or is it and just eventually we're going to ask, what is the gaming industry like where you are?
Right.
We'd love that feedback. That's for the website. Forthcoming. But yes, please do weigh in, because we are fascinated to hear what you all have to say.
Absolutely. My name is Woodsie.
My name is Shepherd, and this is the PC Elitist signing out.